there, you're listening to In the Books, a period drama podcast hosted by the following fangirls extraordinaire.
I'm Michelle. You can find me at Musings on Instagram and Twitter.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
My name's Rita. I'm at Annoying Rita on Instagram and sometimes Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And I know it's got a different name, but
I refuse to acknowledge that, so...
Yep. Welcome back, everyone. This week we are thrilled to be podcasting about the 2009 adaptation of Emma, kindly sponsored by lovely listener Shakita.
Yeah!
If you would like to choose what we discuss on the pod, then head over to our Buy Me a Coffee page, linked in the show notes.
Buy us a figurative coffee.
Yes.
Okay, so... This adaptation of Emma is one of 9 television adaptations and 3 films, which ranks it just below Pride and Prejudice for number of adaptations for Jane Austen books. Mm-hmm. But this particular version stars Romola Garai as Emma Woodhouse. No, I've pronounced that wrong.
I don't know.
It's Romola Garai as Emma Woodhouse, Johnny Lee Miller as Mr. Knightley, and the late, great Michael Gambon as Emma's father, Mr. Woodhouse.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-part miniseries ran weekly on Sunday nights on BBC One from the 4th to the 25th of October 2009. And I'm getting old now because I remember watching that on terrestrial TV. If you want more of a history on the novel this adaptation is based on, then please listen to our review of the 2020 version of Emma, where I get into that a bit more. We would be retreading some very familiar ground here, but it's worth starting our discussion where we always start.
Yes. Okay.
Michelle, what is your familiarity with the second most adapted Austen novel ever?
Well, I had seen a number of the movie and television adaptations before I'd read the book. I think I read the book, it was probably, maybe in the early 20-teens, I guess.
The good old days.
Yeah. But, by reading the book, I actually did read that book, an actual book, in the early 20-teens, but then reread via Audible, the audiobook, which is brilliantly narrated by Juliet. Is it Juliet?
Steven?
Yes, Stevenson?
It's 4 a.m. I can't remember names. Juliet.
It's Juliet Stevenson, I think.
Yes. Okay.
And
God,
it is absolute perfection. So if you have an opportunity and you're interested in listening to the audiobook, I would recommend doing the one where she is narrating, because she does a brilliant job.
I mean, always choose her if that's an option.
Yeah, if that's an option.
I listened to the one on Spotify because it's free with my subscription, so I was like, let me save a credit here. And it's
there you go.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think I actually think the first adaptation I ever saw was Clueless.
And okay, this is my extremely hot take, but it's still the best adaptation to ever happen of anything ever.
Oh my God, it's just genius.
You're in this rare position where you saw like the 12 adaptations. Well, not 12. 2 of them hadn't happened yet.
A billion of them.
Before you read the novel, was there anything that like surprised you while reading the book?
I think it was just the beauty of the prose.
Oh yeah.
It was something that, once I started, I couldn't stop because it was so lovely to read. And she sketches out, what's happening in the scene so well. And I think, because I'd seen so many adaptations, I was immediately able to picture what was going on.
Yeah.
But I found that having seen all of the adaptations didn't spoil the sheer enjoyment I got out of reading that book.
Yeah.
It was just incredible.
A lot of adaptations sort of streamline the narrative a bit. I think one of the beauties of that novel is just like there's like 70 characters. There's like 70 side characters and they're all amazingly distinct.
They're lush.
Their little idiosyncratic tendencies and the way they speak is also distinct. And Emma is definitely one of those novels where it feels like the side characters are incredibly important to just the narrative plot. And
yes,
it feels like, when you read Persuasion and it's very like insular and inside Anne's head, this is, despite it being called Emma, this is really a novel about like all the village that she lives in and all the little petty dramas she gets into. It's fantastic, and the power struggles between her and the other women is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is truly an ensemble piece.
Yeah,
and just love it, and love this particular adaptation as well.
Oh, it's so good. So what other adaptations have you seen? So we've both seen Clueless, obviously.
Yes, Clueless. I've seen the one with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Goop. We must call her Goop Emma.
Goop. Yes, it's Goop Emma.
Have you seen Kate?
She did a passable job with the accent. Yes, I did see the Kate Beckinsale one, and enjoyed it quite a bit.
That was good. Mark Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, the one that came out in 2020.
Yeah.
Which was stunningly beautiful.
I'm gonna have to open the Wikipedia to see all the different.
Those are the ones that come to mind. I may have seen some of the others, but those are the standouts.
Like when I say there's 12 adaptations, there was like loads in the 40s and stuff that have been lost to time. I think I read that the 1970s is the last one the first one that's available. Just scrolling down. Okay, so film Clueless, 1996 Emma, which is Goop Emma. There was a 2010 Aisha, an Indian modern adaptation of the novel. We should definitely watch that. 2020 we've seen, so 1948, 1954, 1957, 1960. Oh, Diana Fairfax is Emma. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, there's a CBS one in Oh, wow. BBC did one in 1960. Then CBS did one in 1960. You wait for an Emma and two come along at once. Emma, 1967, a 5-part Spanish miniseries. 1972, Emma. 1996, Emma. 2009, okay. Oh, yeah, and Emma Approved. Did you watch Emma Approved?
Oh, yes, the web series?
Yes.
Oh, God, of course. Oh, that was so well done.
That was so good. Oh, that was cute. It was less popular, but I thought it was in some ways better done.
I thought it was just delightful, and am still avidly following the actors and actresses who performed in that, as well as the Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
God bless them all for their work.
Oh, yeah, it was just incredible.
I've just learned that there is a Emma musical.
Huh?
Oh God, I'm going to click off because this is like a deep dark hole. Okay, don't think about the musical.
No, please no.
So,
how about you? How many adaptations have you seen?
I think the same as you. The Goop, Clueless, Beckinsale, Emma Approved. Obviously, the 2021 because we watched it together.
Yes.
And obviously this one. I think that's...
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually, now that I think about it, that's quite a lot of Emma when you think about when this is just one story that you've seen this many times. That is actually... I think I've seen more Emma adaptations than I've seen Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we need to think about why Emma is adapted the most, actually. Bonus question. Why Emma? Maybe it's because of the ensemble nature of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is a story that is kind of easy to place yourself in, I think. To become immersed in it. And I think the fact that it has been so successfully adapted into modern day, or I should say, modern day as in the 90s.
In my heart, that's still modern, okay? Most of that fashion is now back in style. So.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, thank God, because I thought those outfits were fire.
Loved all the plaid little outfits. It's so cute. And I have a deep-seated adoration and love for Paul Rudd. So, I mean, could that casting have been more perfect? I don't think so.
Same. I was on the Paul Rudd hype trade. Like, I remember it being like 2001. It was pre-Friends when his career had quietened down, and I was like, the world doesn't appreciate Paul Rudd enough. And here we are. He played the long game. He looks the same. He's amazing.
Yep.
He's really
awesome.
The perfect Knightley.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Than who we're about to talk to about.
Oh gosh.
So most recently we did watch the 2020 version.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's compare the two.
First of all, and I have to say the cinematography in the 2009 version was lovely. I mean, it doesn't get much more picturesque than, the British countryside and big houses and strawberry picking and, all that kind of stuff. But the cinematography for the 2020 film, I remember having my breath taken from me in many of those scenes. It was beautifully done. I honestly don't know how they managed to tell the story as well as they did within a movie. But then again, you think Clueless did it, and they were able to tell the story.
And they had time for Rolling with the Homies.
A kind of a standard film time frame. It wasn't one of these like 3-hour movies or anything like that. I thought that both of them were absolutely beautiful for different reasons. I enjoyed the becoming immersed in the 2009 version, over multiple episodes. And I binged the show in one day.
It's very hard to stop watching. It's incredibly bingeable.
Oh, definitely. And so I think that I couldn't imagine trying to wait and watch this episode by episode. I think I would have gone out of my mind.
Somehow we did it. It was 2009, so it was much more normal back then.
Yeah.
I can't believe I watched this on a TV. Like, that's so tragic of me.
Oh, gosh. So, yeah, I thought that both of them were delightful. But this one is my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
Clueless is my favorite. But of the
ones we've seen,
the traditional adaptations, this one is my favorite.
Yeah. After we saw the movie, I was questioning if that was my favorite adaptation because I was just so struck by the visuals and
Mm-hmm.
like the way that they really honed in on the fact that Emma's kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
Which I wish they weren't so intent on making Emma likable all the time in the 2009 version, because it
Yes.
makes the turn she takes in the final act a little less powerful than it is in the novel.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a better watch because it's a mini-series. We get to see the novel play out, because this is a very close adaptation of the novel at a reasonable pace and not like,
Yep.
quick, we've got 20 minutes left.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, as we said, this is an ensemble, and we got to spend way more time with the side characters. I feel like we knew the Westons and the Eltons.
Yeah.
God bless the Eltons. Even somebody like Harriet Smith and her dramatic love life.
Yes.
She fell in love so much that year. And most importantly for me, the Jane and Frank plot. I think they're all so interesting in their own right, and I don't think the movie could ever establish all these characters, because it simply doesn't have enough time. And I think the Jane and Frank, like that moment in the show where he meets her in the middle of the town square, like that's like a magical moment that you would never get in any other adaptation, because they haven't focused on those two as much as I think this miniseries really decided to dedicate itself to the side characters more than even the 90s adaptations, which to be fair were also movies. I think this is the only miniseries adaptation, and that's I think why we prefer it, because it's a miniseries and there's time. Oh, the time.
We are all about the time.
We really are. We're always complaining.
Yes, that we need more time to let things breathe, and they did an amazing job at letting this breathe.
So storylines.
Emma
and Knightley.
Emma and Knightley. Oh my gosh, the chemistry between these two.
Sparky.
Holy crap. Johnny Lee Miller is a gift in this.
I think he's just a gift in everything. Everything I watch him in, I fall a little bit in love with him. He's just a goofball.
I think, after we watched, is it Mansfield Park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But no, I mean it was the one that you absolutely loved, the main male character, and the actor in particular playing the male character.
Are you thinking about JJ Field?
He's a priest. He's a priest.
JJ Field. Oh, you're talking Northanger Abbey.
Yes.
Oh my god.
No, yes, that one. Northanger Abbey. Sorry about that.
I mean, JJ Field will forever be the best Austen hero to me, because he was also in Austenland. And,
yes.
I know everyone is horrified because they're all like, what about Mr. Darcy? But like, come on.
Well,
it's the faces. It's like, I love the expressions. Expression. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's what Johnny Lee Miller in this adaptation reminded me of. Just the facility that he has over his facial expressions was just out of this world.
I felt like he was bringing that out of Romola's performance as well. Like whenever she was with him, they sort of matched energies in terms of silliness.
Yes.
And they were just one-upping each other with the facial reactions. And I thought that was perfect, because she was always so like self-contained and in her head about how she's better than everyone in her vicinity everywhere else. And then she gets around Knightley and she just turns into like the goofiest. Yeah,
it's like, come on now, Emma. But I just absolutely adored the chemistry that the two of them had. And as we move into the time where finally feelings are expressed, and yeah, we then have, the next few scenes where, she's saying, "I love you, but I can't marry you." She storms
Oh my
into his house,
God.
and he's just like, "What? Huh?"
That was amazing.
Oh my Lord. It was just amazing. Oh my
They
God,
really
I love it.
captured that Emma is the world's most dramatic.
Oh, yeah. So, just adore them
I
so
love
much.
them. I love that the adaptation really leaned into like, we're going to have 10 minutes of them talking to each other. And it's just going to be dialogue straight from the book, because it really gets into the fact that like, you need to spend time with them and their dynamic to get this relationship and fall in love with it as much as they're falling in love. I think some other adaptations are just like, okay, they're meant to be together and we're not going to explain why. They just ship it. Okay, trust
Yes,
us.
exactly. Just go along with us on this.
I think a lot of other adaptations really lean heavily on the dance as the reason they fall in love. And I think this, like, I don't remember the dance being a big thing in the novel. In the novel, it's like they've been in love the whole time and they just don't know it. And you need to see that. And I think that's why this relationship in this particular adaptation works for me better than the others, because I don't think the others have the whole lifelong best friends vibes, which I think is a whole trope, isn't it? So, like, lean into it. Lean into the positives.
And see where it takes you, and it takes you to something absolutely brilliant. So yes, if I had multiple, more than two thumbs, it would definitely get the multiple thumb.
2 thumbs of approval.
Yes. Emma and Harriet. Oh God.
Well, straight out the gate, I adore the actress who plays Harriet. And I mean, she made me laugh more than anyone else. Shipcourt.
Oh my God. Perfection. Perfect casting. Oh.
I think their relationship is probably the most interesting in the book and in the series, because it's both parts destructive and toxic. But also like a really positive power for good in both their lives. Like, I can't ever just like untangle the parts that I think are terrible for them both and the parts that I think like are really positive. And I think the problem is Emma initially thinks she's going to mold Harriet into like this perfect companion for herself. Part of why she won't let her get married is because she just wants a friend around and she's so lonely. But I think it's very clear in the novel, she comes around to the fact that like, this isn't good. I should just let her do her. Like, this relationship has been completely fucked up for a very long time.
Yes, this is not a healthy relationship. You need to just stop, girl.
She's like, I regret ever doing this. This has been bad from A to Z. And it's like, no one gets hurt more in this than Harriet. Like, Emma ends up feeling bad, and I'm like, Emma, this isn't about you. You've really fucked with this girl's life. On every
like
level.
And I love the scene where, Knightley is, talking about, basically, she is not one of your little dolls. That was just, oh my God.
He gets it straight away. He instantly is like, oh, this is not good.
He knows exactly what's going on and is just like, oh crap. What is gonna go on with this mess? But the actress who plays Harriet is just a freaking genius.
She's comedic.
Yes.
Genius, just absolutely always willing to make herself look like an idiot, and I love that for Harriet.
Yes. But
I did think there was like growth throughout the series. Like, it wasn't just like constantly humiliating. Like, especially in that last conversation she has with her, there was definitely like a growth in her. Like, she's standing up to Emma, and more self-confident, and there's more self-belief in her. So I do sort of think, like I said, I can't untangle the good bits from the bad bits, and I think that's really interesting. Like, how many relationships with women are like the center of stories like this, where it's just, usually it's like a rivalry, and like things get complicated because you have an evil arch nemesis, and women are always like that. But in this case, it's sort of like the bad stuff happens because of like a positive girl relationship, and it's just like it just gets messy and people's feelings get all weird. And I think that's really, like, Jane was ahead of her time in that sense, that she prioritized all these female relationships. We still don't see that enough today, which is fucking annoying. And I think one of the better themes they've pulled out of this novel was Emma's rivalry with Jane, and how she really came to regret her earlier actions in the first episode compared to the last episode.
Yes.
And even her interactions with Miss Weston is like important throughout the show. Like, they really spent time nurturing these female dynamics, and I really appreciate that, because again, like, if you watch the movie versions and their adaptations, these aren't really essential to the plot. They get cut so they can make time for, they've got to hit all the beats, and like all the female relationships sort of get cut, which is annoying. Especially Mrs. Weston. Like, I love the Emma-Mrs. Weston relationship.
Oh, I do too. I really appreciate how multidimensional the relationships, particularly the relationship between Emma and Harriet, are within this adaptation. It's very clear to see that it is multi-layered and effed up. And, in the end, redemption, when, Harriet winds up, like, well, I'm going to go with this guy.
Should have just stayed with him from
Robert
the start.
Martin. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Robert Martin. They were cute.
Oh, they were very cute. I really liked how, I don't know if there will ever be enough time for Robert Martin to be more of a fleshed out character. However, I thought the gentleman who portrayed Martin was particularly good in showing just how much he fancied her in the beginning. And when he went to go to see Knightley to talk about, his plans for the farm, I thought that was so sweet. And just the heartbreak of the rejection.
You know what, though? I wish they'd kept in the scene that's in the novel and in the 2020 adaptation. They did just such a good job with this, where Harriet's approached by Robert and his sister in the shop when she's like drenched. I thought, like, that moment always moves me, because it was such a display of maturity and kindness from him. And it's not, I don't know, I'm like, most men, if you reject them, they react horribly, and they start calling you like, you crazy bitch, I never liked you in the first place. And he just has so much kindness to do that to her, and still want to be friends with her, even though he's been rejected. I think that's a sign of a good man, I think, more than anything. I love that Jane knew that. She was like, I'm going to put this scene in so we all realise Robert Martin was the biggest catch in the whole story.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, especially for a young woman in Harriet's predicament back in the day. The natural daughter. Oh my God.
God. I just think,
why don't you just say she's a bastard?
because she's a rich bastard, and that makes the difference. I kind of think it's hilarious that Emma spent like a whole year trying to shove her towards all these men, and they were way worse than Robert Martin. Like, as you can see, she could do a lot worse than Robert Martin, and Knightley pointing that out at the beginning.
Yes.
Well, one thing I resent is that Knightley is never wrong, and just let him be wrong about one thing. This is ridiculous.
Just one thing, okay? Because he can't be perfect. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Frank Churchill and Jane Fairfax. Oh, the couple that just annoy the hell out of me in every single adaptation.
I love them. I love them. I think, like, in any other version of this story, they would be the focus. Like, if Jane Fairfax was the heroine. Well, this is basically the plot of Sense and Sensibility, actually.
Yes.
But, stop recycling your plot, please. I think Jane Fairfax is a goddess sent from above. She's amazing. I put up with Frank because, he treats her just terribly, but he makes up for it in the end. I find myself watching them a lot in this adaptation because the actors are doing a really good job of subtly hinting at what's going on between them. So that's the best thing, when you know what's happening. But I still think, like, if you were unaware, that plot twist is amazing. It's a slap out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me? He's been talking shit about her this entire time. And meanwhile, they're both madly in love with each other.
I actually love that, because all of his digs at her make absolutely no sense. Like, he'll be staring at her lovingly and then he'll get caught and be like, I was just thinking her hair is really fucking ugly. Can you believe her hair? It's like,
dude, oh my God.
Convincing. He's very bad. And the way that he's just always trying to get her aunt to have, like, hey, let's go see the Miss Bates and see what she thinks about this. And you're like, really? That's not even subtle. How did nobody see this?
Oh, Lord have mercy. But, yeah, I mean, it's just hard for me to see him being so cruel. With her in earshot much of the time.
See, I look at that as just a man being bad at acting.
Oh, God.
Like, he's trying to get people to look away, so he's doing
look over there,
just the absolute most, and it's ridiculous. I don't particularly like Frank, but I like Jane enough. Like, I think Jane's a perfect goddess, who's suffered so much for this man that's not worth it.
But now she's stuck with him.
Yeah, but I think he'll make a better husband than he has been a fiance. Now that he's got no reason to pretend not to
hide
like her.
it. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think
it's like, oh God.
I don't think he doesn't like her. Like, I don't think there was ever any, like, flirtation with Emma on purpose. So it's one of those things where he was kind of a dick, but let it slide, because I think the novel does a much better job at sort of really rationalizing his behavior than you get in the TV show. Like, the novel,
I agree.
when I was rereading it, it was like, the last few chapters were just sort of justifying his behavior over and over again, and every little thing was dissected and like, what about when you did this? What about when you did this? And there was always an explanation. So in my head, I think I've just accepted it because Jane went over it so ridiculously. She really tried to explain his behavior, and I've just accepted it. And like, maybe I shouldn't, but I like Jane enough, okay? I want to believe Jane will be happy. She deserves it. She has suffered enough.
Yes.
Poor little
Be
Jane.
happy, Jane. Be happy, Jane.
Yes.
Kick Frank in the butt if he needs it.
He probably will.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mr. and Mrs. Elton.
Oh my Lord. The actress who played Mrs. Elton, I mean, they did an amazing job with casting for this adaptation. And the actress who plays Mrs. Elton is just another example of finding just the right person to fill those shoes, because dear Lord.
That actress,
wow.
She was also in Jane Eyre. She plays Blanche in Jane Eyre. So she's really been typecast as like the pick-me girl.
Yes.
She's And I find that funny because the screenwriter, also did the 2000s adaptation of Jane Eyre. So we've got like a bit of a recurring.
Okay.
And she just keeps using this woman to be the hey everyone, look at how great I am girl. Definitely pick me behavior.
I'm looking at a picture of her. Her name's Christina Cole, and just her resting face is just screams, "Oh, I'm better than you."
To be fair, she probably is better than me. I don't have any problems with admitting that. But I love her. I think her comedic timing is perfect. When she makes her husband drag her into Knightley's estate on a donkey. I mean, that was the highlight of my week. That was perfect. He looked so annoyed, but he's not saying anything.
And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. Well done, Elton.
The fact that Elton puts up with that is extraordinary.
Oh, it is so much karma. I can hardly stand it.
I love that for him. That's perfect retribution. I also just think they're just the perfect meeting of pompousness and self-importance. It's just a match made in heaven in that respect.
Yeah.
And he has to put up with all her little whims for the rest of his life because he wanted that 20,000.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do think there is something interesting about Mrs. Elton where she's trying to make friends in a new environment and like come into this new society that obviously like it's hard to feel sympathy for her, but when you think she's probably like quite young and sheltered and she's
having to become the vicar's wife, and has, I'm sure, all kinds of thoughts around who that person needs to be.
Yeah. And
so she's like putting on this costume to see if it fits, and clearly it's uncomfortable enough for her to just completely screw it up.
Yeah, like I just find Emma complaining about her being overly familiar and being like too enthusiastic to be kind of, it's something that would be incredibly annoying, but I would have given her the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, this is a new place and she's gonna take some while to adjust to it.
Yeah.
But because Emma has never had any experience of that, she's just immediately like, this bitch comes in here and tries to ingratiate herself with us. And I think like that's perfect. I think like Jane Austen just zeroes in on people like this. This is basically a villain in the story, and she's not doing anything particularly groundbreakingly evil. It's just like she's a little bit annoying. Like that's the thing that is so offensive to Emma, and it's just this perfect dynamic of this being the most annoying thing you could ever do to Emma, because she likes to feel like she's the head bitch, and she doesn't want anyone being more friendly with Mr. Knightley than her, and she doesn't want like anyone to just like step on her turf. Obviously, the way Mrs. Elton treats Jane is actually the worst thing she does. Nothing she does to Emma is like, it's like water off a duck's back, but trying to get Jane that job against her will is horrific. That's arguably the worst thing she does, and even then, not that bad. You know. It's no abducting a 15-year-old girl, is it? It's no Wickham.
Yeah, very true. Oh gosh. Okay.
Favorite characters or performances?
Well, I think our two leads are, of course, kind of top of my list. I thought that the scene where Knightley confronts Emma after the Box Hill incident, and says the words that must be in every adaptation of the show. Badly done, Emma. Badly done.
I always wait for it. I'm like, ooh.
Yes. Is it coming? Is it coming? Oh, good. They left it in. I thought that performance was really pretty special.
Okay, important question time though. Is he the best Knightley? Is he the one?
Well, didn't we agree that Paul Rudd is the best Knightley?
I mean, he's a pseudo Knightley. That'd be like
a pseudo Knightley. Oh my god, I love it.
I don't think we can call him the best one because he never says badly done, Cher. Can you imagine if he just pulled out a British accent in the middle of like...
Oh god, that would have been funny. I think, when I'm thinking of the Knightleys that I've seen in the adaptations, it's a close one between him and, oh god, what's his face from Goop? Jeremy Northam.
Oh, duh. Oh, yeah. Oh my god, Toni Collette was on this? Oh, I hated Ewan McGregor's.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I loved Alan Cumming. I loved Alan Cumming's Mr. Elton. I thought he was just wonderful.
I think for me, Johnny Lee Miller is the best Knightley because he manages to make him way more like vulnerable than I think other Knightleys can come across a bit like, I'm the perfect shining beacon of masculinity. And Johnny Lee Miller, there's just something inherent about him where he can't do that without undermining it slightly. He always seems a little bit vulnerable to Emma's charm in this, and I think that makes the dynamic slightly more palatable, because there is a sense. Oh God, let's talk about the revelation in the book where he says he's loved her since she was 13.
God. Yeah,
which I always block out. Because I don't like to think about it.
Honestly, you have to, because otherwise it's just creepy.
It's disgusting.
It's creepy and wrong.
It makes me want to throw up.
Yeah. Ugh.
Okay, so like that sort of lingers over every adaptation, I think, in the background. Nobody speaks about it, and we never... He never says it out loud. But it sort of lingers, especially over the 90s version, where they were leaning into that a little bit more of the age difference and the power dynamic.
Yeah.
I think with this adaptation and the 2020 version, they feel a lot more like equals, which is so much better for me. I know it's not actually
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm advocating for changing the source material, but let's change it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that we really have to be cognizant and thoughtful about that, particularly in this day and age. And I think that I'm looking at pictures of them from the show, and I see them almost more as contemporaries
I mean, that's
than
because Romola was playing this role when she was like pushing 30.
yeah, yeah,
Which is,
yeah.
I always complain about that, but in this case, please.
So it's like, okay, I'm good with that. So yeah, I really enjoyed his performance as Knightley, and thought the two of them were just magical. I will have to also say, in thinking about the Mr. Woodhouse portrayals over the years, this one, of course, grabs you in the heartstrings, because of the recent passing of Michael Gambon. He was,
I mean,
he was
it
so
did before he
sweet.
passed, though. Like, this has been such an amazing performance. Even before he died,
Mm-hmm.
I always
Absolutely.
felt they really got to the heart of this relationship
Mm-hmm.
Emma has with her father and understood the importance it had for her. And also, like in other adaptations, her father feels like such a burden. And in this one, you can see like he's sweet. He really cares about Emma and why she would be attached to him.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that we see in this adaptation that I don't recall seeing in any of the others is we get the history.
Yeah.
We get the flashback. And so we see why things are the way they are at that point. And so I think that also helps in, our seeing Mr. Woodhouse more in a positive light than he may have been in previous adaptations.
Yeah, it's very much like, look, this is a trauma response. He isn't just quirky.
Yeah.
Which I think is important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he was just delightful.
I went on Johnny Lee Miller's Instagram and he had like a little tribute to him and talked about working on Emma with him. Got me right in the feels.
I will have to look it up when we get done.
Yeah, there are so many good performances. This is probably the strongest cast for a period drama I've seen in a while in terms of like pedigree and the caliber of acting on display, because I mean, if you think about it, like this is an ensemble and it's like packed with talent. Like even the little roles aren't little, they are just sensationally delivered. I mean, even the children in the flashbacks, like I thought they were giving, they were serving, and child actors are usually terrible. Look at the Pollock children, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
If I had to pick a highlight for me, though, it is Tamsin Gregg as Miss Bates.
Oh, yes.
This is, I think, the perfect depiction of this character. Just like she nails it. The rambling is constant, but sort of delivered in a way that feels convincing. In other adaptations, Miss Bates talk, but like it doesn't feel natural. Like it's just like blah, 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 blah. It's just like a wall of noise. But Tamsin's doing something where like there's like little, she sort of mutters to herself, and then there's other bits where she'll be like, oh, did I tell you this thing? Jane said this. And it just feels so convincing and so annoying. And I love that. And for me, I think the moment on Box Hill when Emma is unkind packs a much bigger punch in this adaptation than any other I've seen because of her performance. In other versions, I mean, that moment's really fell flat for me.
I mean, in this adaptation, in previous adaptations, it just the character just seems and feels so kind of ditzy and kind of unaware and that kind of thing.
It doesn't feel
this
real.
It doesn't. Yeah, in this one, it's clear that she gets it, and that it goes to her soul. And it is really badly done, Emma, that you would say something like that and not even consider the fact that it's going to wind up hurting this woman so badly.
You have to care that she's hurt her feelings. I think in other adaptations, it's just sort of like, oh, another thing she's done. And in this one, it's like the worst thing she does. And I think they do a really good job of showing the gravity of what her words have done to Miss Bates. Yeah. And it's just like a perfect performance that I think perfectly encapsulates like the line about her being good and equally ridiculous. I think that's just perfect. And I think this character is possibly one of the most important that Jane ever wrote in all her novels, because I think it's probably the closest she ever got to writing about herself. The impoverished, unmarried sister living with her mother. That is Jane. And it's tough being in that situation. And I like that she was able to express that in this character and really advocate for her and say, she deserves kindness and sympathy. So that was nice for me. I love also just Tamsin's an amazing actress. Go watch more of her work. She should be in everything, quite frankly. Okay, favorite scene.
Do I have to?
Wow. Yes, kind of, yes.
Oh, damn. I thought, I'm always a big sucker for a nice dance. And thought that the dance was lovely. And I love how these shows always do that particular dance. I don't know what the name of it is. But
the clappy one, or is it the other one?
It's the one where it's a 3/4, so it's not a waltz, but they wind up kind of circling one another and then raising one hand and touching it over their heads and doing that dance.
The thing that Bridgerton really leaned into in season 2. Yes. It seems like
that is like one of the dances that these period drama folks always kind of pull out of their hats
for filming eye contact.
the special moment dance.
They're falling in love.
Exactly. It's that, or it's the one that they did in Pride and Prejudice, which I think that one goes down as my all-time favorite.
I really like the one
period drama dance
in Young Victoria, though. The waltz in Young Victoria.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Ooh.
Okay.
That's so beautiful. Anyway.
We got off track.
Okay. So, I love the dance. I love the scene where, she is getting ready to leave the house after they get married, and just the exchange that she and her father have. Just waterworks. Everywhere was waterworks.
How dare they do that to me right now?
Oh man. So those are probably my 2 favorite scenes. If I have to pick some, that's what you're gonna get. I thought the whole thing was brilliant. There, meh.
I love Ship Court as a scene, just in general, like, obsessed with it, because I too hate riddles. I think I think my favourite scenes, like the one I get the most joy from rewatching, are the really long Emma and Knightley scenes, particularly at the end of the first episode. It's like 10 minutes long of them just walking around and arguing, and it's like just the best they're married already without even realizing, sniping at each
Yes.
other, and they know all the history of each other's stupid mistakes. So it's always funny. Like, they can be like, remember when you did this when you were 10 years old? Well, you're still doing it now. But I think it's also really a testament to the acting and the chemistry they have, that they can do that for such a long time. Really long takes
definitely.
of just people talking. And also, like, you got to respect the screenplay and the adaptation work that the screenwriter Sandy Welch did. Like, the balls to just let people talk for that long and not cut away. Almost every line came from the novel. And I think she really understands that, you know, the viewers that are tuning in for a 4-part Emma adaptation on a Sunday night,
they want to see it, damn it.
They want the fucking dialogue. They didn't come here for a different story. They want to go through beat by beat. You know, we love the walking through meadows with sweeping music. It's brilliant, but we came here for the meat and potatoes. You know, that's the side dish. And the characters and their dynamic and the dialogue is what we came to see on screen. And she understands her audience better, I think, than any other screenwriter that was adapting historical work at the time. I mean, I can't say enough positive things about her adaptation of Jane Eyre. She does a similar thing in that miniseries. Like, she always puts the emphasis on taking the dialogue from the novel and making sure that it's true to the novel, because, you know, when you're making an adaptation, it's not... People are looking for familiarity with what they know. They came to see something that they read. It's not like making something new and interesting, which you can do, but you want to still give people what they want. And what we want is Emma and Knightley flirting and not even realizing they're doing it.
Agreed. Okay, costumes. I know this is your favorite time period.
We do so many Regency shows for somebody who hates looking at Empire Waste.
I know. Oh, but they were lovely.
Yeah, they were a bit forgettable, though. Not to be a hater, but, like, I'm trying to picture them in my mind, and all I can see is, like, they were kind of lovely, rusty, sort of autumnal vibes and Grecian, but nothing very, like, wow.
Well, I think that, you know, one of the things that is a challenge for me is that I remember just how lovely the costumes were in the 2020 version. You know,
they don't got that money.
Yeah, no, they don't. You know, and, you know, we have been spoiled with 2 seasons of Bridgerton, where the costumes are just mind-blowingly gorgeous, you know, for the Regency period. And so the costumes were what I was expecting it to be for a show and a story that takes place in the countryside in Kent. You know, we are not spending massive amounts of time in town. You know, we are in the country, and so the costumes, the dresses are going to be simpler than, you know, what we would see in the city. Although I do love the bonnet that Emma was frequently seen wearing, the one that kind of curls away from her face.
Yeah.
I thought that was really lovely in the way that it framed her face. But yeah, they were nice.
They were nice.
They were serviceable.
I think they were serviceable.
Serviceable. Well,
I like that they always had Emma in sort of these soft muted reds and oranges, and then they had Jane always in blue because they were like, never the two shall meet. They are distinct entities.
Yes.
And then,
but
as the show progressed, Emma started wearing blue. Just saying. Yeah. I also loved she wore this hat that kind of looked like a bonnet. Like the one you wear to bed. That I thought was interesting. That was cute. I think like the most I can say is she looked nice. And that's about it. Not to be a hater.
Yeah.
I wish they like leaned into Frank Churchill's fop persona more though. Like this always annoys me. Like they make such a big deal about how he's from the city and he went. I know he didn't really go to London to get his hair cut, but it's got to be believable that he would do that. So
yes,
he needs to dress more fun.
Yes,
but they never do that.
I will say that they did that quite well with the Goop Emma version of Frank Churchill.
Unfortunately, but did you see his hair? That wig.
Yeah, it was not good. So
at
not
least
good.
They leaned into that in theory, if not in execution. I mean, Frank Churchill in this version, aka Anthony's dad, is he dresses like Knightley is the problem. He could be like, if they were both turned away from you and you just saw their silhouette in the back, would you be able to tell the difference?
It would be difficult to tell the difference.
And I think they should be more distinct. That's also how I feel about Emma and Harriet as well, which is like there's a distinct class difference, but they from the back you would think they were the same person basically, especially because they're both blonde. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So locations. I wanted to talk a little bit about the location because the village they filmed in is called Chilham, literally in Kent. Chilham. It's forever lodged in my brain. Like when I think about this adaptation, I think about the square, and I thought it was just so cleverly done because they had everyone passing by the Bates home and the window, and it's like the center of the universe. Everyone gravitated there, and you get like a real sense of there's a small community there. And other adaptations, it's felt like
it hasn't felt anywhere. That tight knit.
Yeah.
I think that it really helps to establish Emma as kind of the queen bee of the community.
Yeah. I think you need to do that visually as well as just narratively. We're always I'm always lamenting the geographies of the show. But this was just perfect because you felt like everyone was walking into the village. Knightley walks into the village, Emma walks into the village. The village is the hub and everyone meets there. And they're always passing each other and stuff like that. And I thought it was just used perfectly. Yeah. So good.
Yeah. And with the Bates home right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
Being able to see everything and all of the passing by and it basically it was their television.
Yeah. And her leaning out the window and being like, hey, Knightley, come in. You can see why she's always like got the good gossip because she's like centrally located.
Exactly. She's like right there.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing that's going to pass her eye. So I thought it was absolutely charming. I think that I know that is I don't think I've ever been in Kent. But it made me want to go. Just like, seeing Cornwall in Poldark made me want to go to Cornwall.
Yeah, I have been to Kent and I don't feel like anything about it. I don't feel it's not like It's like one of those nondescript places where you're just like, yeah, Kent. Like, it's not... There's something about Kent that is incredibly unromantic, which makes it perfect for Emma to live there. Because she's like, yeah, she just lives in Kent. There's nothing amazing about Kent. Also amazing that she lives in Kent, one of the most, like, famous harbours, Dover, the White Cliffs of Dover and all that shit, and she's never seen the sea.
She's never seen them, yes. It's crazy.
Tragic.
It's crazy, girl. But, it makes sense because, her father doesn't want her leaving the house. Doesn't want her going out somewhere.
The thing about Kent, though, is, like, it's not quite a peninsula, but it basically is. So I don't think she's ever really that far from the sea.
But, she's got her dad, who's terrified.
Yeah, but if you can go to Box Hill, you can go to bloody...
Well, you
Seaside.
saw how he reacted when, she wanted to do this Box Hill thing. It was like, she was shipping off to the Americas or something.
Weird. Why choose Box Hill over the seaside? It's just a big hill.
Yeah. It's a big hill. Woohoo!
Though saying that, it's always been one of my dreams to have a picnic on Box Hill. I want to see if shit really goes down. Bring loads of people that I'm like vaguely friends with and see who snaps first.
Exactly.
That'd be a great reality TV show.
Let's have a social experiment on Box Hill. Oh my gosh.
Like, pick a really hot day with a bunch of semi-strangers.
What could possibly go wrong? Oh, Lord. Well, okay. Anything that you didn't like?
I think, like, the root of all of my complaints would stem from the lack of budget. Like, the costumes felt a bit blah.
Yeah.
The ball scene felt very empty. There were, like, 3 dancers. And I think, I don't think, this is not to be mean, but I don't think the directing was particularly groundbreaking by any means. Like, it just felt like a TV show.
Yeah.
And that it's not really a criticism. I know I'm criticising the book, but they don't have Netflix budgets, so they made their best with it. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind, that for a lot of these shows, that they just don't have the same kind of, we're just going to fling money at you budget that we're seeing coming out of Netflix. And potentially Hulu and, all that kind of stuff.
Like, but Netflix don't fling that much money at period dramas compared to something like Stranger Things. Or, like, of all the genres, people will understand spending loads of money on, like, sci-fi or whatever. But if you want to make a really lush, interesting looking period drama, they're like, no, you can make it cheap. So just make it... Like, we've seen it done cheap, so just do it cheap. And then you see something like the 2020 Emma, and you're like, shit, when you spend money on things, it looks amazing. And it makes it more enjoyable. So, like, we deserve pretty things. Like, why is it all the money going to superhero movies and action movies and, like, The Rock making his 17th movie where he's an action man that's looking after kids? You know what I mean? Like, it's just spend money on period dramas.
Somehow I don't think they're going to listen to that.
Well, they bloody should, okay?
Yes. Sadly,
it's not
no.
like Bridgerton is losing money, is it?
No! Although
like,
the way they're
but let's not spend any money on it. Oh, God. It doesn't make sense.
Although the way they're kind of shilly-shallying around with season 3, they are kind of burning through some cash, but that's on them.
Speak to me about season 3. I'm so annoyed. Did you see the article about, we're thinking about doing another spin-off? I'm like, another spin-off?
No, I have not.
Give me fucking season 3. I don't care about a spin-off right now.
I have purposefully avoided anything talking about Bridgerton just because I don't want to wind up getting spoiled.
I mean, you're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah, I know.
I
I
know that.
know.
Oh, actually, this is not a Bridgerton podcast. We'll complain another time. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. How many ship courts out of 5?
Oh, 5 ship courts.
Yeah. Is there any question? Is there any doubt?
I mean, I'd give
No.
it 6 if that was possible, but you know. Also,
No, I think I will look into watching the 2020 film again.
I hope it's back on
Just
Prime. That would
just
be
out of
fun.
curiosity, it is on Prime, but I think I gotta pay for it if I want to see it.
Boo.
So I know, right? I'm so cheap.
It was free for a while, and we missed our opportunity.
Yeah.
Classic us.
But yeah, I mean, this was just brilliant. It is one of the best adaptations. Period. End of discussion.
Period.
Period. Yes.
Okay, so Shakita's Corner, as usual.
Yes.
If you commission a podcast, we will read out your email about it, and why. Pardon me, I just burped. Why did Shakita choose this? So, hello. I fell down the period drama rabbit hole in 2020 when COVID had the world in a chokehold. I devoured series after series and was constantly searching for new shows, which is how I found Emma. I haven't read the book and only have the movie characterization to go on. I have a very hard time reconciling my warring feelings for Emma Woodhouse. She is a completely unlikable person, and I spent so much time blaming her father and a governess for raising such an ugly young woman. Yes, she's wealthy and independent and doesn't care what male society thinks of her because she has no intentions of marrying. But in that freedom, it's as if she has no humanity. Her cruel and meddling nature is a complete turn-off, but I still end up rooting for her, even as I at times wish for Mr. Knightley to run off with Jane Fairfax. Oh, Jane Fairfax is too good for him. Jane Fairfax is a goddess. I love the perspective you two bring and desperately would love to hear your thoughts on Emma and the journey she goes on in this series. Thank you for all the hard work you put into creating quality entertainment. I'm losing my voice. Quality entertainment for your listeners. Looking forward to all future pods. Shakita.
Thanks, Shakita.
I think you're totally right about Emma being equally unlikable and still rooting for her.
Yep.
I love
exactly.
that. Don't you just love that women can be written to
there's
as
that
unlikable
duality.
As men? Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that so much with like male storytelling in like the anti-hero. Yes, they're doing the wrong thing, but you can't help but root for them. And it happens so rarely with women because women are always so concerned about being likable, which makes sense because our survival literally depends on it. But with Emma, she's in a social position where she can just do what she likes. And I think it's very hard to see how anyone would behave differently in her position. And that makes it interesting. I think there's a reason that Jane Austen thought Emma was her best creation. And it's because she's so complex. And you like her despite
the fact that despite what she is all about, which is you just kind of shake your head and go, why am I wanting this person to? Well, we all want a redemption story, and so that's what we are hoping for and rooting for in this, is that we want Emma to wind up being redeemed. And in the end, she is.
I think that's why Clueless is the best adaptation, because they really nail in this is a rich, white, privileged girl who is clueless about all the power she wields over people. And you would assume she's unlikable, and maybe she is a little bit at first, but you really root for her at the end. And I think that's why it's the best adaptation because they honed in on the central premise, which is, look at this bitch. You love her. You love this bitch.
Oh man. But yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back soon with another period drama pod. If you have any requests, head to Buy Me a Coffee and click on the Commission a Podcast link. You can email us at inthebooksnetwork@gmail.com and follow us on social media at inthebooksnetwork for more fun period drama takes from us. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you all next time. Bye!
Bye.